After repairing an alien ship, he woke to find black cruisers outside his house. Jack Sullivan lived in a small town at the edge of nowhere. His house was old but sturdy, with a garage full of tools, wires, and spare parts. Jack had always been good with machines. Cars, bikes, broken appliances. He could fix almost anything. People in town often came to him when they had something that wouldn't work, and Jack would make it run again. He liked working with his hands. The smell of oil, the feel of metal, and the quiet that came with focusing on a repair. One late afternoon, Jack decided to take a walk through the woods behind his house. The trees were tall and thick, and the sunlight made patterns on the ground. He liked walking there. It was peaceful, and he could think about things without anyone bothering him. As he walked, he noticed something strange. Between the trees, there was a shiny metal shape. It looked out of place, like it didn't belong in the woods at all. Jack crouched down and brushed away the leaves. What he saw made his heart beat faster. It was a small ship, maybe 6 meters long, but unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface was smooth and dark, reflecting the light like black glass. There were no visible windows, no doors that he could see. Strange symbols were etched into the metal, glowing faintly in colors he couldn't name. The whole thing hummed quietly, almost like it was alive. He stepped back, unsure what to do. "What the hell?" he muttered. His mind raced. It looked dangerous, but also fascinating. Jack was curious. He had fixed old motorcycles that had been rusted for years. He had rebuilt engines that were practically destroyed. Could he figure out this? Could he make it work again? Over the next few days, Jack kept going back to the ship. He brought tools, lights, and his notebook. He examined every inch of it. He touched the surface carefully, trying not to damage it. He took small pieces of metal and tried to see if they fit into the ship's mechanisms. Slowly, he realized it wasn't like any human technology. The materials were strong but light, the circuits were unusual, and the way it powered itself made no sense to him. But Jack was stubborn. If he could figure it out, he would. One night, he stayed in the woods until it was completely dark. He set up his tools and started working. He tapped, twisted, and connected wires. Every time he tried something new, the ship reacted. Lights blinked, small panels opened, and faint sounds came from inside. Jack felt a thrill he hadn't felt in years. It was like solving a puzzle, but the puzzle was alive. Lucy Hammond, his neighbor, noticed strange lights coming from the woods that night. Lucy was a kind woman in her mid-30s. She lived alone a few houses away. She liked peace, but she was curious too. She stepped onto her porch and looked toward the woods. The lights were flickering like tiny stars in the darkness. Something about it made her uneasy. She grabbed her phone to call Jack, but she stopped. Maybe he was just working on some old project. She decided to watch quietly instead. Jack was unaware of Lucy. He was too focused. He connected one more wire, and suddenly, the ship gave a low hum and a pulse of light. The air around him seemed to vibrate. Panels slid open and a soft voice filled the space in a language he couldn't understand. The voice was gentle, almost like it was thanking him. Jack froze, staring at the glowing symbols. He didn't know how, but he understood the words in his mind. "Thank you," the voice said. "You have repaired what was broken. I will not forget this." Jack blinked. He shook his head, thinking he might be dreaming. But the lights stayed, the panels stayed open, and the hum continued. His hands were trembling, not from fear, but from excitement. He had done it. He had made contact with something alien. Over the next few days, Jack became obsessed. He studied the ship, learning more about its systems, He found ways to power it using simple circuits, made small repairs to the hull, and even figured out how to make the lights flash in patterns. He didn't fully understand it yet, but he could see progress. Lucy came by one afternoon. "Jack, what is going on?" she asked, her voice worried. "I saw the lights again last night. People are talking about strange things in the woods." Jack smiled, trying to sound casual. "It's just some old project I found. Nothing dangerous. I think I can make it work again." Lucy frowned. "Jack, it's not normal. You shouldn't be messing with things you don't understand." "I know," Jack said, "but I have to." "I can feel it, Lucy. I can feel it needs me. And I want to know what it is." Lucy shook her head, but didn't argue further. She knew when Jack was determined, nothing could stop him. One evening, Jack worked until late. The air was cold and the forest was quiet. He was tired, but he wanted to see one more test. He connected the last set of wires, and the ship lit up completely. A holographic interface appeared, hovering in the air. Shapes, colors, and symbols danced before his eyes. He reached out, and the interface responded to his touch. Every movement he made caused the ship to react. It was alive in a way he had never seen before. Jack felt a thrill of understanding. "You're incredible," he whispered. "I've never seen anything like you." The ship responded with a wave of light that seemed to envelop him. Jack felt a warmth, a connection. It was like the ship was telling him he was part of something bigger, something important. That night, Jack went home exhausted. He couldn't stop thinking about the ship. He had worked for hours, barely eating, barely sleeping. He left the ship in the woods, safe and powered down, and walked back to his house. Lucy watched from her window, still unsure what to think. Jack went to bed, his mind racing. He dreamed of stars, of strange shapes in the sky, and voices calling his name. He dreamed of flying, of new worlds, of things humans had never imagined. But he didn't realize that while he slept, something had changed. The pulse from the ship had been detected. Something far away, something massive, had noticed that the ship was active again. Early the next morning, Jack woke with a start. He rubbed his eyes and looked out the window. At first, he thought it was a reflection, but then he saw them, black cruisers, massive ships, hovering just outside his house. They were enormous, much bigger than anything human-made. Their surfaces were dark and smooth, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The hum of engines filled the air, low and powerful. Jack's heart raced. He had never seen anything like this. Panic rose in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. He knew he had to think. He looked at the street. There were no people around yet. The cruisers hadn't landed, but they were watching. And he knew, somehow, that they were looking for the ship he had repaired. Lucy ran to his house, shouting his name. "Jack! What is happening?" "What is that?" "They're aliens," Jack said, his voice shaking. I think they're looking for the ship I fixed." Lucy's eyes widened. "Aliens? Are you serious?" Jack nodded. "Yes. And if they find it, if they know what I've done, I don't know what could happen." The two of them watched in silence as the cruisers hovered. The air felt heavy, charged with energy. Jack realized that this was only the beginning. He had repaired the ship, made contact, and now he was part of something far bigger than his quiet life in the small town. For the first time, Jack understood that being human wasn't just about survival. It was about courage, about standing up when the odds were impossible. And he knew that if he wanted to protect the town, the ship, and maybe even the world, he had to face what was coming next. He turned to Lucy. "We need to get ready. They're not leaving." Lucy nodded, fear in her eyes but determination in her voice. "Then we fight. We have to." Jack looked back at the forest. at the ship he had repaired. Somehow he knew it was alive, and somehow he knew it would help. He took a deep breath and stepped outside. The black cruisers loomed above, silent but powerful, and for the first time, Jack felt the weight of the future pressing down on him. It was terrifying. It was impossible. But Jack Sullivan was ready. Jack Sullivan stood in his front yard staring at the black cruisers hovering silently above. Their massive shapes blocked the morning sun, casting long shadows over the house and the street. The air felt heavy and tense, and even the birds had stopped singing. Jack could hear a low hum, like the sound of a giant engine vibrating through the ground. His heart pounded in his chest. He had repaired the alien ship, and now the universe had noticed. Lucy Hammond stood next to him, gripping his arm tightly. "Jack, what do we do?" she asked, her voice trembling. Her eyes never left the cruisers. "Do we call someone? The police? The army?" Jack shook his head.
"No one is going to understand."
"If we call anyone, it could make things worse. They'll see the ship, and then there's no telling what will happen." He took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "We have to figure this out ourselves, at least for now." Jack looked toward the woods where the alien ship rested. Its dark hull glowed faintly, almost as if it were aware of the danger. The thought made Jack feel both comforted and nervous. He had fixed it, and now it was alive in a way he could barely understand. He didn't know if it could defend itself, but somehow he felt it trusted him. Suddenly, a black SUV came racing down the road and stopped in front of Jack's house. The doors opened, and a man in a dark suit stepped out. He looked serious, in his 40s, with short brown hair and sharp eyes. "Jack Sullivan?" he called. His voice was firm but careful. "My name is Ethan Brooks. I work for the government. Step outside and we need to talk." Jack stared at him. "Talk? About what?" Ethan glanced at the black cruisers. "About that," he said, nodding toward the ships above. "They are not from Earth, and they are not friendly. We need to know what you've been doing." Lucy's hand flew to her mouth. "Government? Aliens? What is happening?" Jack ran a hand through his hair. I fixed a ship," he said slowly. "It was in the woods. I didn't know anyone was watching it. I didn't know this would happen." Ethan's face hardened. "Do you understand what you are saying? The ship you repaired has triggered a signal. They know it is active, and now they are here. Those cruisers are searching for it. They could destroy anything in their path to get it back." Jack swallowed hard. "Destroy anything?" "Yes," Ethan said. "They do not negotiate. They do not reason. And they are far stronger than us." Lucy stepped closer to Jack. "Then we have to move it. We can't let them find it here." "I know, but we need a plan. We can't just run. They can scan the whole area in seconds." Ethan looked at Jack with surprise. You understand the technology?" Jack shrugged. "I fixed it. I don't know everything, but I can make it do some things. I think it can protect itself if I know what I'm doing." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Then we have no time to waste. We need to secure the ship, and we need to secure you. The fleet outside is only the beginning. If they realize what's happening, this whole town could be at risk." He thought about the woods, the ship, and the cruisers. He knew he couldn't just hide. He had to act. "Lucy, help me get to the ship. We need to make it ready. We don't know what they can do yet, but we have to be prepared." Together, Jack and Lucy ran through the backyard toward the trees. Ethan followed them, keeping his eyes on the sky. As they approached the ship, Jack could feel the air vibrate with its quiet hum. The panels opened slightly, as if recognizing him. He reached out and touched the hull. The glow intensified, and he felt a strange energy flow through his hands. "Jack, be careful," Lucy whispered. "I will," he said. I think it can help us." Jack opened the ship's main panel and began connecting wires, checking circuits, and adjusting small modules. Lucy handed him tools, moving quickly but carefully. Ethan watched, clearly impressed. He had seen advanced technology before, but nothing like this. The black cruisers moved slightly, changing position in the sky. Jack noticed something. Their movement was deliberate, almost like they were scanning the area in a pattern. He realized they were looking for the ship's exact location. "They're searching," Jack said. "We need to hide it somehow, or at least make it harder for them to find. We can use the woods. Dense areas, small hills, and thick trees can block some of their sensors, but it's only temporary." Jack thought quickly. He ran wires from the ship to a small generator he had brought. He adjusted a panel so the ship would emit low-energy pulses that could interfere with the cruiser's scanning. "It's not perfect," he said, "but it might confuse them for a while." Lucy looked at the generator and asked, "Do you think it will work?" Jack shrugged. "I hope so. It's better than nothing." They worked fast, aware that the cruisers were still hovering and watching. After a few minutes, Jack stepped back. The ship's glow dimmed slightly, blending more with the shadows of the forest. The hum softened, becoming almost silent. Ethan checked his watch. "We have maybe an hour before they start scanning more aggressively. We need to decide what to do next." Jack nodded. "We can't move it too far. It's heavy and delicate. But maybe we can set traps, make it hard for them to land." Lucy frowned. "Traps? What kind of traps?" Jack looked around at the trees, the fallen branches, and the forest floor. "We can use what we have. Wires, metal parts, anything that can trip sensors or cause an EMP. I don't know how strong the cruisers are, but we can try to make them hesitate." Ethan agreed. "We don't have much time. I'll help you set it up. We can also move some of the town's vehicles and equipment to create obstacles. Anything that can slow them down will help." Jack felt a surge of hope. It wasn't much, but it was something. "Okay," he said. "Let's do it." They spent the next hour moving debris, connecting wires, and setting up small devices. Jack showed Ethan how to activate the ship's defensive energy field, just enough to create a barrier in a small radius. It wouldn't stop a full attack, but it could delay them. Lucy moved quietly, carrying wires and modules, and even found some old electronics she could attach to the ground. Finally, they stepped back and looked at their work. The ship glowed faintly, its hum low but steady. Wires ran into the ground, small devices were hidden in the trees, and metal obstacles blocked clear paths through the woods. "We did what we could," Jack said, breathing heavily. "Now we wait." The cruisers stayed for a long moment, hovering silently. Jack could see faint lights moving along their surfaces, like sensors scanning the forest. His stomach twisted with anxiety. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing for sure: they were not going to leave without the ship. Suddenly, one of the cruisers tilted slightly and sent a beam of light toward the woods. Jack ducked instinctively, pulling Lucy down with him. Ethan shouted, "Get ready!" The light swept through the trees, illuminating the ground, the ship, and everything around. Jack felt a shock of fear, but then the ship reacted. Panels opened, energy fields shimmered, and a pulse of light shot toward the beam. The beam stopped abruptly, unable to penetrate the field. Jack's heart leapt. "It works. It actually works. Incredible. I didn't think it would react that fast." Lucy smiled, though her hands were still shaking. "Jack, you really did it." The cruisers retreated slightly, circling in the sky. Jack could see movement inside the larger vessels, but he couldn't make out details. He realized that this was only a temporary success. They were testing him, watching his reactions, and learning how the ship worked. "We need more time," Jack said. "They'll come back stronger. We have to be ready." Ethan nodded. "I agree. I'll contact a few people in the government, but we have to move carefully. If word spreads about this, it could trigger panic." Jack looked at the ship, glowing faintly in the shadows. "I don't think they'll ever leave without it. But maybe we can show them we're not easy to break, that humans can fight back. Then we fight. Together." Jack nodded, determination in his eyes. He knew the real challenge was only beginning. The black cruisers were waiting, and the world would soon see that humanity was not as weak as it seemed. The forest was quiet again, but Jack knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. The alien ship hummed softly, ready for whatever came next. And Jack Sullivan, ordinary mechanic from a small town, realized he was about to become part of something much bigger than himself. The night was quiet, but Jack Sullivan knew it was only a thin veil over danger. The black cruisers had not left, and their massive forms floated silently above the town. Every time he looked outside, he saw them hovering, scanning, searching. Jack felt a mix of fear and determination. He had repaired the alien ship, and now he was responsible not only for its safety, but for the safety of everyone in town. Lucy Hammond stayed close to him as they moved through the garage, gathering tools, wires, and equipment. Jack had spent the day thinking about what to do next. The ship could defend itself, but only in small ways. He needed to find a way to fight back, or at least slow the cruisers down. "We need to make it stronger," Jack said, holding a bundle of wires. "I can connect more of these to the ship, make a kind of shield. It won't stop them completely, but it could give us time." Lucy nodded. "Okay, but what about the rest of the town? People will panic if they see those ships. We can't just stay here." Jack thought for a moment. "We'll use what we have. The woods, the hills, even the cars and trucks around town. Anything to make it harder for them to land or move. We have to make them hesitate." Ethan Brooks, the government agent, entered the garage, carrying a small box of devices. "I brought some equipment that might help. EMP generators, small sensors, and other tools. We can use them to confuse the cruiser's systems." Jack examined the devices carefully. "This will work with the ship?" Ethan nodded. "It's risky, but it could buy us time. They won't expect humans to fight back like this." Jack's heart lifted slightly. He had never imagined that humans could stand up to such advanced aliens. But now he realized that ingenuity, courage, and teamwork could make a difference. They spent hours connecting wires from the ship to the devices Ethan had brought. Small panels opened, energy flowed through circuits, and the ship responded to Jack's touch. It glowed faintly, humming softly. The pulses of energy from the devices made the ship's shield stronger. It was still not enough to face the full force of the cruisers, but it was a start. Lucy moved carefully around the garage, setting up sensors in the trees and tying wires to branches. She worked quietly, following Jack's instructions. "Do you think this will really confuse them?" she asked. Jack smiled faintly. "I hope so. But it's not just about confusing them. It's about showing them that we can fight, that humans are not helpless." Outside, the cruisers shifted in the sky. Jack could feel their presence like a weight pressing down. He knew they were scanning, looking for the ship. He also knew that they could detect the small energy pulses the humans were sending. But if they were clever enough, they might hesitate. Hours passed. The town was still silent, and no one had noticed the preparations in the woods. Jack and Lucy moved through the trees, checking connections, adjusting panels, and making sure everything was ready. Ethan watched, clearly impressed by Jack's skill and determination. Finally, Jack nodded. It's time. They'll come back, and we have to be ready. Once they land, it's too late. Lucy swallowed hard. Then let's do it. They waited in silence, listening to the hum of the ship and the occasional rustle of the wind through the trees. Then, without warning, the cruisers descended. Massive beams of light scanned the forest, searching for the ship's exact location. Jack ducked behind a fallen tree, holding Lucy close. "Stay calm," he whispered. "We can do this." The ship reacted immediately. Panels opened, energy fields shimmered, and pulses of light shot toward the scanning beams. The beams stopped, unable to penetrate the shield. Jack felt a surge of relief. It worked. The cruisers circled, trying different angles, but the pulses continued to disrupt them. Jack realized that the ship was responding to his intentions, almost as if it could feel what he wanted it to do. The thought amazed him. Humans had repaired it, and now humans were controlling it in ways even aliens had not imagined. Ethan moved quickly, setting up small devices along the forest floor. They emitted electromagnetic pulses, causing small sparks and lights to flicker across the cruiser's surfaces. The ships wavered in the sky, unable to land safely. Lucy watched in awe. "Jack? It's working. We're actually stopping them." Jack nodded, his hand steady on the ship's controls. "It's not over yet. They'll try again, stronger this time. But for now, we have a chance." The cruisers hovered for a moment longer, then one of them sent a smaller vehicle down to the forest. Jack's heart raced. A scout ship, small and fast, moved quickly between the trees. He realized it was trying to locate the alien ship directly. "Here they come," Ethan said, raising a small handheld device. "We can slow them down, but we need to hit it now." Jack pressed a sequence of buttons on the ship. A pulse shot out, hitting the scout ship. It wavered, sparks flying along its surface. Then it shot back into the sky toward the larger cruisers. The aliens must have been surprised. Lucy gasped. "Jack, you did it." Jack smiled faintly. "For now, but they'll be back. They always come back." The night continued. The black cruisers circled, testing their approaches, while Jack, Lucy, and Ethan worked tirelessly. They moved through the forest, setting traps, adjusting panels, and connecting wires. Each action made the cruisers hesitate. Each pulse of energy made the aliens rethink their attack. Hours passed, and the first light of dawn appeared. Jack looked up at the sky. The cruisers were still there, but they had retreated slightly. They had not landed. Not yet. "We held them off," Jack said, his voice tired but proud. "But only for a little while. They'll be back and stronger. We need more weapons, more defenses. This isn't over. They'll return with everything they have." Jack looked at Lucy. "We can do it. We have the ship, and we know how it works. We can fight back. Humans can fight back." Lucy squeezed his hand. "Then we keep going. We don't give up." The town below remained quiet, unaware of the battle happening in the forest. Jack realized that they were not only protecting the ship, but also protecting everyone who lived here. They were ordinary people, but tonight they had become something more. They had become the first line of defense. Jack returned to the ship, running a final check of the systems. The energy fields glowed faintly, and the panels responded to his touch. He realized that the ship was partially fused with his modifications. It could now respond faster, more intelligently. Humans had repaired it, improved it, and now it was ready to fight with them. Lucy and Ethan joined him. "We're ready," Jack said. They'll come back and we'll be ready too. The black cruisers moved higher, scanning the forest one last time before retreating slightly. Jack watched them, knowing they would return. But he also knew that humanity had a chance. They were clever, brave, and resourceful. Even against technology far beyond their own, they could fight. He looked at the forest, at the ship, and at his friends. "This is just the beginning," he said. "But we can win." "We have to win," Lucy nodded. "We'll do it together." Ethan smiled faintly. "I didn't think humans could fight like this." "You've surprised me, Jack." Jack chuckled. "We're full of surprises. And we're not done yet." The sun rose over the small town, casting light on the forest and the alien ship. The black cruisers hovered above, massive and threatening, but for the first time Jack felt a sense of hope. They had survived the night, held off the attack, and learned how to fight back. The battle was far from over, but humanity had shown that it could stand up, even against forces that seemed impossible. Jack Sullivan, Lucy Hammond, and Ethan Brooks were ready to continue the fight, and somewhere deep inside the ship, he could feel a quiet hum of agreement, as if it, too, was ready to fight alongside them. Jack took a deep breath and looked at the sky. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "But so will we." And for the first time he believed it. The night had fallen again, but this time Jack Sullivan, Lucy Hammond, and Ethan Brooks were ready. The black cruisers had returned, larger and faster than before. Their surfaces gleamed darkly in the moonlight, and the hum of their engines vibrated through the ground. Jack could feel it in his chest. They were coming to take the ship, and this time they would not hesitate. Lucy stood beside him, holding a small panel of wires and devices. She had been helping Jack all day, connecting energy fields and setting traps in the forest. "They look worse this time," she said quietly. Jack nodded. "They are, but we're ready. We have the ship, we have our traps, and we have each other. We can do this." Ethan adjusted a small control box. "The sensors show they are scanning the area faster. They know we're here, and they will not leave without the ship. But they don't know everything we can do. That's our advantage." Jack took a deep breath and moved toward the ship. Its hull glowed faintly under his touch. He felt its hum, and for the first time he realized it was almost alive in a way humans could understand. It responded to his thoughts and his hands. He knew he could use it to fight back. Outside, the cruisers lowered slightly, their lights cutting through the forest. Jack could see smaller scout ships separating from the main fleet, scanning the trees. They were precise, methodical, and dangerous. "Here they come," Jack said. "We need to hit them first." "Do it, Jack." Jack pressed the first set of buttons on the ship's panel. Energy pulses shot out, hitting one of the scout ships. Sparks flew along its surface, and it wavered in the air before retreating toward the larger cruisers. The black ships paused, adjusting their flight, as if they had not expected resistance. Ethan moved quickly through the trees, placing small EMP devices near the paths the cruisers might take. "This will slow them down," he said. "It won't stop them, but it will give us time." Jack worked faster, his hands flying over the controls. Panels opened on the ship, sending out shields and pulses of energy. Beams of light shot toward the cruisers, forcing them to change position. The forest around them seemed to pulse with the alien energy, bright flashes illuminating the trees and the ground. Lucy ducked behind a large fallen tree as a beam of light from one cruiser swept across the forest. "Jack, hurry!" she shouted. "I'm trying," he yelled back. He adjusted the energy output, sending a stronger pulse toward the cruisers. One of them wavered and retreated slightly, unable to maintain its attack. The humans worked together, moving quickly through the forest. Jack controlled the ship, Lucy adjusted the traps, and Ethan monitored the cruiser's movements. Each action forced the aliens to rethink their strategy. They were powerful, but they had never faced resistance like this from humans before. Jack realized something important. The ship could do more than just defend. It could attack. He took a deep breath and activated a new sequence. Energy beams shot out, hitting the closest cruiser. Sparks flew along its hull and it twisted in the air, trying to escape. Lucy gasped. "Jack, you did it! You hit them!" Jack nodded. "We have to keep going. They'll come back harder if we stop now." The cruisers regrouped, hovering above the forest. Jack felt the ship hum under his hands, as if it were alive and ready to fight. He pressed another sequence of buttons, activating a wider energy shield. Trees bent under the force of the pulses, but the shield held. Beams from the cruisers bounced off harmlessly. Ethan shouted, "I have the EMPs ready. We can disable their systems temporarily." Jack nodded. "Do it now." Ethan triggered the devices, sending a wave of electromagnetic energy into the sky. The cruisers wavered, their movements jerky as systems flickered and sparked. Jack saw an opening. He activated the ship's energy pulse again, stronger than before. One cruiser faltered, then another, and suddenly they were retreating, forced back by the humans' defenses. Lucy jumped up. "We're doing it. We're making them leave." Jack kept his hands steady on the ship. "Not yet. They'll come back. And stronger. We have to be ready for the final push." The black cruisers hovered for a moment. Then one sent a large beam of energy toward the forest. Jack braced himself. The beam cut through the trees, lighting up the night. The ground shook, and small branches fell around them. "Lucy, get behind the shield!" Jack shouted. He activated the ship's full defensive field, and a dome of energy surrounded them. The beam hit it and bounced off harmlessly. Sparks flew, but the shield held. Ethan moved to adjust the EMP devices. "We can't hold them forever. We need to hit them hard now." The ship had energy pulses that could temporarily disable the cruiser's systems if focused correctly. He adjusted the panels, aiming at the main cruiser. A powerful pulse shot out, hitting it directly. The cruiser wavered in the air, sparks flying along its surface. The other ships moved closer to protect it. Lucy's eyes widened. "Jack, you could really fight them." Jack nodded, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "We have to. We can't let them take the ship." The battle continued through the night. The forest was alive with light and energy. Beams of alien technology clashed with the ship's defenses. Trees shook, the ground quaked, and the air was filled with a low hum that made every nerve in Jack's body tense. Ethan moved quickly through the trees, setting more devices. Lucy ran between positions, adjusting wires and sensors. They worked as a team, humans and the alien ship together. Jack realized that the ship was responding to his instincts as well as his hands. He could feel its energy, almost as if it understood him. He focused on the largest cruiser, sending pulses in quick succession. Sparks flew and the cruiser wavered, losing altitude slightly. Lucy shouted, "Jack, it's working. Keep going." Jack pressed the controls harder, sending another wave of energy. This time, the main cruiser twisted violently and then began to retreat. The smaller ships followed it, pulling back into the sky. Ethan breathed heavily. "They're leaving. They can't handle it." Jack smiled, but he didn't relax. "They'll be back eventually, but for now, we've won this fight." The forest was quiet again. The ship's glow dimmed and the hums softened. Jack, Lucy, and Ethan stepped back, exhausted but alive. They had fought the impossible and held their ground. Lucy looked at Jack. "I can't believe we did that." I never thought humans could fight like this. Jack shook his head. We didn't just fight. We adapted. We used our brains, our courage, and our teamwork. That's what makes us human. Ethan nodded. I've seen advanced technology before, but I've never seen humans use it like this. You've done something incredible. Its panels closed slowly and the glow faded. He could feel its quiet hum, like it was resting after a long battle. Somehow he knew it was alive, and that it trusted him. Lucy smiled faintly. Do you think they'll come back? Jack nodded. Maybe, but we'll be ready. We have each other, and we have this ship. We've shown them that humans are not easy to defeat. Ethan adjusted his equipment. We need to prepare for the future. This is only the beginning. But tonight, humans fought back and won. That's something to remember. Jack looked around at the forest, at the fallen branches and the scattered devices. He realized that the world had changed. He was no longer just a mechanic in a small town. He was part of something bigger. He had faced a force far beyond human technology and survived. And he had won. Lucy placed a hand on his shoulder. We did it, Jack. We really did it. Jack nodded. Yes, but we have to keep going. We have to be ready for whatever comes next. Humanity has only just begun to fight back. The first rays of sunlight broke through the trees, casting light on the forest and the ship. The black cruisers had vanished, retreating into the sky. Jack, Lucy, and Ethan stood together, tired but alive, ready to face the future. Jack looked at the ship one last time. Its hum was calm, its panels closed, and its glow was faint, but he knew it would be ready when they needed it. Humans had fought, humans had adapted, and humans had won. He took a deep breath and smiled. We've shown them what we can do. We're not weak. We're not helpless. We're human. Lucy nodded. And we'll keep proving it. Ethan looked at the sky, then back at the forest. This is only the beginning, but tonight we won. Jack felt a surge of pride. They had fought the impossible and survived. They had shown courage, ingenuity, and determination. And now, humanity had a chance to rise. The forest was quiet, but the hum of the ship was a promise. A promise that humans could face the stars, that humans could fight back, and that humans could survive. Jack Sullivan, Lucy Hammond, and Ethan Brooks had faced the darkness and won. And somewhere deep inside the ship, he felt the same thought. Together, they would face the future, and humanity would not be defeated.